Hey guys, MCU Collect here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, the Retro Spider-Man Wave of 2025. Here we have Chameleon from Spider-Man the Animated Series. So finally they did it. I thought this was going to come in like one of the VHS 2-packs. And then when they announced like this 2-pack here with Vulture and Spider-Man was going to be the last one, like, uh-oh. That's not good. We didn't get Chameleon. That's criminal. Like, how could we not get Chameleon? So I was frustrated. I was mad. I was upset. But Hasbro got us. They got us. They got us. They put it in a retro card blister pack type deal for Chameleon, which these figures, even though it's the Spider-Man the Animated Series card back, like from the 90s, the Toy Biz figures, they're not always figures from the animated series. In fact, 90% of the time, they're comic figures. There are a handful that are based on the animated series, like Kraven, Black Cat, Scorpion, and now Chameleon. There might be a few others in there that I'm just not remembering, but I think that was it. So here we have our Chameleon specifically from Spider-Man the Animated Series. So it's cool. We get an extra set of hands. It looks like he's got some fists, and we get 2 guns in there. And then we get a mask for J. Jonah Jameson. Now, when they first announced this, silly me, I didn't even think about it. He uses the device on his belt to create a hologram image over his body for people to see who he's trying to disguise as himself. So he doesn't actually wear masks, so the J. Jonah Jameson thing doesn't actually make sense. But are we mad that we're getting extra accessories, or are we just mad because it's not an accurate accessory? Probably, hopefully it's because it's not an accurate accessory. But hey, I have a couple of J. Jonah Jameson heads. I have this one that I'll pop on there. This is the one from that first Chameleon figure way back in the Rhino Build-A-Figure wave. That's the same one as the retro carded J. Jonah Jameson head. I just didn't want to bring out a whole other figure, so I'll pop that on there, see if we can have that, and then we can have our J. Jonah Jameson there. Looking at it, it says Manipulative Mimic, and then on the back of the package we get the cross-sell. I'm still in search of Spider-Boy. Hopefully it did show up in my area-ish. I just was a little late to be able to get it, so I missed out. The bio reads, the half-brother of Kraven the Hunter and enemy of Spider-Man, Chameleon is a master of disguise and ultimate undercover spy. So let's go ahead and get into it, and let's get him off of the card, out of the package. Okay, so here we have the Chameleon figure out of the package, and it's everything I wanted it to be. But if I had any kind of suggestion or recommendation, Hasbro, if you would have thought about additional accessories, maybe we don't need these guns. I don't remember him using guns. He may have used guns. He probably used guns. I don't care about the guns. What would have been really cool is if you had the image inducer, if you had like a belt attachment or accessory, or like just the belt that could clip on to any other figure, and then it would be as if that version was actually Chameleon and not like the actual like Spider-Man. So like when he disguised himself as Spider-Man. So think about it. When everybody, they just see Spider-Man, but for us, the audience, and maybe it was just for the audience sake, since we're all kids and, you know, needed to better understand it. If you had that image inducer belt, if you had that around this Spider-Man, that would be Chameleon in disguise as Spider-Man, and we would know it. That would have been a really damn cool accessory. We got 2 guns, we've got fists, and we've got a J. Jonah Jameson mask. I think the belt thing would have been really freaking cool. You guys let me know if you guys agree with that. I think it would be cool, but that's just me. But anyway, let's go ahead and get in for a closer look at Chameleon. Let's take a look at those accessories, those guns, and the figure. Okay, so up close look at Chameleon. He is very creepy looking because, you know, he doesn't have a whole lot of facial features and anything, but the sculpt of it looks really, really, really nice. I really like it, the way his nose looks, the way the mouth looks, the shading around the curves of his forehead and kind of around his eyes and his mouth just looks really good. This is the comic version that we got. Like, it was okay. It was cool back then. It's also a really, really old figure now, so it doesn't really hold up. And you can see, like, size-wise, it's pretty crazy. This was based off of an MCU body. It was the one that was used for, like, Agent Coulson. So the MCU figures tend to be a little bit smaller in comparison to comic figures and / animated figures, so you could see size differences like pretty crazy, but it was the only suited body that we had at the time for Marvel Legends. This one was cool because we got a couple of different heads. So I had bought 3 of these figures so I can do the whole J. Jonah Jameson thing and Hammerhead thing. So we have those there. I'll pop these heads onto this new Chameleon, see if they work there. But I want to focus on this figure for now. Looking at it, you get this like, you know, light purple, like bluish, you know, bodysuit uniform that he wears, which looks really cool. The image inducer looks really nice. We get a nice little metallic, like teal paint in there. Looks just like from the cartoon. Really cool. Red boots in there. Yeah, so he's got these shoulder pads. So it looks really good. Not a whole lot going on for it, but just exactly what we need. We also get a pair of fists. We have trigger finger hands on there, which have vertical hinges. The fists have the standard horizontal hinges. Here's that J. Jonah Jameson mask. It's a cool concept and idea. It's just, again, it wasn't something that was necessary. And, you know, are we really mad that we get extra accessories? Nah, I mean, they could have given us a J. Jonah Jameson head, I guess, but, you know, they did that before. So, you know, it could have been, I guess, pretty redundant to have done it again. So it's a nice idea and concept. I think the image inducer belt accessory would have been really cool, something to do. And the head does pop on there, so you can have your J. Jonah Jameson. But again, this is not like it was accurate to the animated series. When he disguised himself as someone, you saw their full-on look. You didn't see the Chameleon uniform body with a different head, so it doesn't really work. So I can kind of also see it from that standpoint. So there is that. But anyway, that's the Chameleon figure up close. Looks great. I love it though. I love the way it looks. But let's see how he moves. Okay, so Chameleon, his head is on a disc hinge, so he can look up that much. He can look down that much there. This collar piece is actually a separate floating piece, so it kind of gets in the way when trying to get him to look up. Get a full rotation in there. Not really any pivot going on. The shoulder you can get to go straight on out like so, which is good. You get a full rotation in that shoulder. That shoulder pad does move with it, which is nice. You got the upper bicep swivel in there. Double jointed pinless elbow gives you that much bend at the elbow, which is quite nice. You got the wrists that swivel. Vertical hinge on the trigger finger hands, which are good for the guns. Standard horizontal hinge on the fists. Ab crunch on this guy, so he can crunch forward very little. Ooh. And I don't know if that's... No, I feel like that's not getting in the way. The shoulder strap, which is a part of the belt, I feel like that's not getting in the way. It's just... It might be. It might be a little bit, but he does not crunch forward very much. Going back, he goes back a little bit more. I guess that's good. You got a waist swivel in there. This belt sits just above that waist swivel. Since it's attached at the shoulder strap, you can't really try and move it down. But I guess the good thing is it doesn't get in the way of the swivel. It's just because you see the swivel now because of it. I'm not the biggest fan of. Legs go out that far apart. He can kick forward that far, which is good. The leg doesn't really go back. You got an upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinless knee gives you that much bend there at the knee. You got a boot swivel in there. Foot hinges down that much there. Some hinge up. You got to kind of work it around the wrinkles of that boot at the ankle so you can get a little bit. Ankle pivot and peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So there we go for Chameleon. That is pretty good articulation. One thing I forgot to do was show you guys a close-up of these guns. So let's go ahead and do that now. So this is that rifle style. Nice silver color in there. We get a little bit of a darker gray there for that handle. So that is kind of good. It's very futuristic, not real looking gun, but hey, that looks pretty good. We have this one here. So this is kind of a blaster similar to the one that we had gotten years ago in that Rhino Build-A-Figure wave, but it's a little bit bigger, a little bit more realistic looking while still not being realistic looking, if that makes sense, because it still looks like, you know, some kind of laser gun type of deal. But one thing that is a little troublesome is I tried to do this. His trigger finger doesn't really fit in there. Like, it kind of rests on there, but doesn't really go in. So that's kind of odd. That's the right hand. I didn't try it on the left. I would imagine they're about the same side. Like, it kind of does, kind of not. As you can see, it doesn't really go in all the way. So not that big of a deal. Just thought I'd point that out. But there's Chameleon and how he moves and his accessories. Let's take a look at some head swaps. Okay, so earlier I had already shown this one, but hey, let's take another look at it. It is the J. Jonah Jameson. Doesn't quite look right. As you can see, it just looks a little bit smaller on his body. If I zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see how that looks. It's not the greatest. Let's check out some other head swaps. So we got that hammerhead that also came with that comic Chameleon, and that just looks a little funky. I don't really care for it, although I guess it's not terrible. The wider head kind of makes it seem almost like a normal size head for this body. Let's see if that other comic Chameleon head work. Whoops, that's the wrong one. That's the actual Chameleon from this figure. So that's, you know, whoopsie. There is that Chameleon one there, and that kind of works. The head is just a little bit small, but that does fit on there, so that kind of works. He transformed himself in a couple of individuals from the show. So at one time he was Peter Parker, not the Peter Parker figure version that we got. We got the, you know, blazer jacket rolled up sleeve look instead of the weird green and white polo, which I wish we would have gotten. But there is the Peter Parker head on there. It doesn't fit the best, but it is on there. At one time he did disguise himself as Daredevil, and we did get a Daredevil figure, so we got that going there. And then of course Spider-Man, so we have that there. So again, not really accurate, but there we go. Okay, so full-on side comparisons. The old Chameleon, just tiny in comparison to him. Looking at like Daredevil, again, how cool would it be if you had these figures and you just had that image inducer belt accessory and you could just kind of wrap it around, and then you could have like two different Daredevils going off and facing each other. That would have just been really freaking cool to do. So that is Daredevil. Here we have Kraven the Hunter, his half-brother. Oops. There. That is the animated series version that was on a retro card as well. Walmart exclusive, I believe it was. And then here we have Spider-Man. This is the Spider-Man from the Vulture 2-pack, which I'm going to be honest with you guys, I kind of forgot existed. When I did the Spider-Man Unlimited review, I was like, oh, here are all the animated Spider-Man figures, and I forgot that we had that. Like I showed it with this one, which is a not quite as big, you know, version of Spider-Man. It's got the cell shaded, but we did get this Spider-Man, which is bulky, which makes a little bit more sense. So we have that there. And then let's take a look at figures from the wave. So Spider-Man Unlimited was the first figure, or well, technically the first that I'd seen, but then I got Agent Venom immediately after that, and I reviewed Agent Venom first. And then I got Kane there. So we have Kane, Chameleon, Agent Venom, and Spider-Man Unlimited. And then we also got Electro, the Francine Fry version of Electro, which I will put right there. So there you have the Spider-Man Retro Wave so far. I'm only missing Spider-Boy, and I'm hoping to find him soon, because I'm going to be down in Southern California for a few days for work, and I'd like to be able to get that review done while I'm gone. So hopefully I can have that and get that video out for you guys. Okay, so that's my review of the Chameleon figure. You guys let me know down in the comments below what you think of it. These are starting to hit Target stores now. Hopefully online retailers and everything like that will start to get this wave in soon. I think Amazon updated to reflect late February or mid to late February. So hopefully you guys can get your hands on it. If you're a fan of Spider-Man the Animated Series, this is an absolute must pick up. You have to get it. Like, absolutely have to. Like, I was getting worried that Hasbro wasn't going to do it, but they took care of us. They got it to us. There we go. Let me know what you think of my idea of having that image inducer belt as a separate accessory. That would have been just something really cool and really different, I think. But unfortunately, we didn't get it. But again, would have been really cool. Let me know if you guys agree. I think so. There. But give me your guys' thoughts on the Chameleon figure. Give me your guys' thoughts on the Spider-Man Retro Wave. Let me know what you think. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.